Otherwise, we'd
It's all on track.
She
nothing would be
keeps
recorded.
these lesbians straight.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready to start.
Okay. How about Virginia? Do you feel like reading?
Let me get it.
Sure.
Let me get
Yep.
it for you.
It's coming up.
Okay. Ooh, that's a little
Can you see that?
small. Let me see if I can. All right, you want me to read the first paragraph, Jeff?
No, all the way down to just before in his love, Jeff. So
Okay.
yeah.
Dear folks of Baba, from time to time, Darwin Shaw would say that we are embodiments of Baba's divine love in every moment, and we are meant to flow with that love. It is our living potential and our destiny. Unfortunately, our reactions to others, to ourselves, and to the world repeatedly impede the flow of Baba's love emanating through us. One of the major obstructions to this flow is our mind, with its notions of right and wrong, good and bad, appropriate and inappropriate, loving and unloving. We release or withhold this love according to what our mind deems worthy. As Baba says, for many people,
Oh,
certain
just a second.
conditions.
Nasreen, wait 1 second. Nasreen,
Yes,
you need to mute yourself.
this
We
is
can.
my husband's fault.
Oh well, send him out to take the garbage out. And
Are you on the Supreme Court by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay,
okay.
okay.
As Baba says, for many people, certain conditions have to be met before there is a release of love. We require that the object of our love must be deserving. Our love is rarely unconditional, even sometimes with parents for their kids. We let our reactions block the flow of love, even though it is possible to react negatively to someone or to some circumstance and simultaneously send love. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. I witnessed Dr. Harry Kenmore, one of the Mandali, react powerfully many times to others, even seemingly in a negative way, and yet a powerful flow of love was emanating from him at the same time. I used to say he could flow through the Himalayas, so powerful was the flow of his love. Obstacles were simply blown away in its current. On an overcast day, the sun is still radiating its light. It is the cloudy weather condition that is resisting the sun's rays. Likewise, Baba's divine love is always emanating from us in every moment, but it is the many veils of the ego that are continually diffusing its radiance. Do you want me to stop there?
No, keep going. Yeah.
Okay. Darwin would talk about this love as an invisible current emanating at the heart level in each of us. For most people, he would say that this invisible current flows toward themselves, toward I, my, me, and mine, and often stops there. This current needs to be reversed so that it simultaneously flows out to the world and to Baba within. It is a fusion of our love and vitality, a vibrational flow that emanates from the heart center and not from the head with all its thinking. Another way of putting it, this flow might be described as the natural generosity of the spirit. If we let this current flow toward Baba, which is the best thing we can do, it is his joy to return it transformed and, as Darwin has said, it flows back into us where it can be expressed in the world of forms as a giving energy. How do we know that there is such a current? Suppose you are in an expansive mood among friends when someone enters the room with whom you've had a very painful past experience. Suddenly, the expansive current stops. The heart pulls back and constricts in a tangible way. From this, it is clear then that there had been a flowing and expansive current before the person entered the room. Sorry. I was having technical issues. Let me find out where I was. Darwin would say that this is where the internal work begins. In this moment, by tuning into Baba's warm expansiveness, and then flowing out toward that person at an inner level in spite of our initial negative reaction. It is possible to flow through the reaction. Love is on a different and higher track altogether. And when we don't flow toward a particular person or situation, we diminish ourselves by that much. We become smaller. For example, if I find children noisy and unruly, very demanding, I may unwittingly block the flow to a profound part of my inner life, the child in me. The same is so true with many things we reject, we shut down. Do you want me to keep on going?
Yep.
Okay. This is not to say that this flowing current must always be expressed outwardly. Sometimes it is wise to let the flow remain invisible, with no outer expression, such as in cases where someone might respond to your warmth the wrong way and take advantage of you. Sometimes we have to love from a distance, while still remaining in a flowing state. Do your reactions sometimes make it impossible for you to respond at the same time with the flow of love? What type of emotional reactions most often tend to break your flow of love? Are you able to experience that the flow of love is on a higher and different track in you than the lower emotional or desire track? Do you experience substantial fluctuations of expansiveness in your response to others and the situations in your life? Can you feel that blocking the flow of your love leaves you feeling diminished in a subtle way?
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me read.
Yeah. So let me. So I thought, I thought I would start out on this to kind of share my own struggles with this, what I've written here, just so it might be a little bit more clarified. And so in 1970, I was living up there near Darwin and Gene Shaw, and Darwin would talk about cultivating this flow, this flow of love, and that we are meant to flow. And when I was up there, this is in Schenectady, New York, able to I was able to react even negatively to people, but I was able to kind of flow through it, carrying out what he was, you know, encouraging. But then then 1972, I moved to Myrtle Beach, and there was a group of people who, what can I say? They ganged up on me, and they regarded me with such ill will, and not only just in their attitude, but even came out and expressing it in action. And this was very disturbing to me because there was no this kind of treatment wasn't warranted. There wasn't anything I'd done to these people to warrant such a thing. So I mean, it was difficult, and just the injustice of it all. And so I was, without realizing, I kind of plunged into the reaction because the reaction was taking away from my freedom, and I didn't want my freedom. I didn't want my joy kind of being contingent on people's reaction to me. And but what happened is I forgot entirely what Darwin was encouraging to flow through my reaction. I forgot about that all. That went out the window, and I was trying to find a way to respond to these people without, getting without becoming a major thing in my life. I mean, it was a preoccupation for a long time, and then after years, I was able to. What can I say? I would just. It would bother me when I was in their presence when they were, responding to me with that kind of ill will. But then I would kind of forget. When I wasn't in their presence, I would get back to work and focus on Baba, you know. And but then and I would go to the lagoon cabin, or when I was in India, I would go to the tomb and send these people love. But I had a hard time, I would say, forgiving them for this just unwarranted kind of behavior toward myself, So anyway, I mean, I didn't feel like I just had a hard time forgiving them. But anyway, decades had to pass before I began this practice, going back to the practice that Darwin had encouraged to flow through my reactions. Like I say, to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. And so, I mean, like I say, this took quite a long time. And then eventually I managed to succeed to some extent. And the ironic thing is, I mean, to be able to do it in the moment, not afterwards, but do it as I'm experiencing my reaction to flow while it's happening, so that I'm working at a higher level and a lower level. And so the interesting thing is, once I was able to kind of flow toward them, they stopped doing this. I guess they didn't have any. There was no hardcore reaction in me after that. There was nothing for them to hit off or push against. But I have to say that, this group of people were really helpful in bringing home to me the importance of flowing in the moment in spite of my reactions. If it hadn't been for them, Baba used them to bring this home to me, and it's made all the difference in my life. So anyway, I'm just saying that as an introduction, so that maybe that will give some of you trigger your memory of things that you've struggled with. So, anybody want to go forward and share your efforts with this?
I want to know how many people want the names of those people so we can go beat them up.
They were greatly helpful to me. That's the trouble. I would defend them myself. Anybody? Oh, good. We got
Tony.
the man.
I'm a little bit afraid here because the story came to mind immediately, and I'm not sure how I can tell it. I'm not usually like that, but I'm going to just try. It's something that came up at the mini Northeast gathering almost a month ago. I was invited to be one of the 2 guest musicians, and in 50 years with Baba, that has never happened. And I was thrilled, and I was really happy, although I'd say, Baba, what's this about? Why are you inviting me now to do this? But I prepared. I worked really hard at it. As far as I was concerned, I was going to be in Baba's physical presence doing this. So I really put everything into it. And time came for the performance. It was an hour long, and it was marvelous. Baba was flowing through the whole thing, and there was so much love flowing. I felt his love. It was flowing through the room. It was, just amazing. And afterwards, I'm getting all of this. Oh, Tony, that was really wonderful. Oh, Tony, Tony, and people like as if they know me that I've never met before, and it's like, oh, that was beautiful, and I'm handling it. I'm going like, no. And at some point, I said, Baba, why? And someone said, you were finally ready. And I got that was Baba saying to me, you can now do this performance without letting your ego own it. And I said, okay, fine. And the next day, an incident came up. Well, first we're in a sharing circle, and they had taken Baba's New Life message and clipped little pieces of it and you'd pick out of the bowl, and you'd get one section for you. And if it was relevant, you could share about it. And mine, I started laughing because mine said, accept no homage. It was kind of timely. But meanwhile, Zeke loves to crochet. Can I show you, Zeke? She's always crocheting. She loves to crochet. Look how peaceful it is. She's just all the time making wonderful art.
I have batteries in my crochet.
sometimes she gets intense about it, but she was going to leave it out in the car. It was the last day of the gathering. I said, bring it in. So at some point you can share with people. Well, we happen to have this sharing circle, and a lot of effort was done to make it really focused. And Zeke's next to me, and she takes out her crocheting. But instead of just crocheting like that, she's in her kind of dynamo mood, and she's doing this, and she's like, and I may not have bothered anyone else, but I whispered, I said, could you just not do that now? Because I can't pay attention to anything anybody's saying. And Zeke says, it became a thing, and she said, you wouldn't say that if I wasn't your wife. And I said, I would. So then she's fine, and she puts it down, and she's sitting there like this, and I'm feeling really embarrassed. And in 26 years of marriage, it happens from time to time where something comes out of nowhere. Neither party understands the other. Everything you want to do to make it better makes it worse. So at that point, and I'm saying, Baba, please, what do I do here? This happens all the time, not all the time, but regularly. And I shared. I said, no, after I asked Baba, I said, someone came up with this prayer, shared this prayer. And I will tell you what it is in a minute. But when he mentioned this prayer that had come to him at Baba's Samadhi, I immediately, internally, started saying this prayer over and over and over and over. And I could feel something lift. And on our car ride home, I didn't say anything. I just quietly said that prayer. I suggested Zeke might want to do the same. Halfway back home, I said, so can we talk now? I've been saying the prayer. Why don't you say the prayer? She said, well, you're not saying it good enough. But what happened is everything did change. And what might have taken forever for this to lift, it's a thing that not a negative part of our 26 years. It lifted, it really lifted. What the prayer was, and we use it a lot now. Zeke's mother just died yesterday. Her mother maybe was not the best mother of all. Her children all had horrible relationships with her. And it was hard for Zeke to even care that her mother, we knew over about 2 or 3 weeks that it was coming soon. And myself and another friend were pressing her, you've got to deal with this before she dies. And I said, use that prayer. I will get to telling you what it is. She did use the prayer. And the next morning or later that day, she comes to me. She said, I'm feeling at peace with my relationship with my mother. We should call now. The phone call went beautifully. Her mother was so loving. Zeke, she could hardly speak because she was so impaired as she was approaching death. But the love that was there was tangible. And we used it again today. We got into something going to a farmer's market. And I said, I just stopped. And I closed my eyes. And I said the prayer. And Zeke, I said, please join me. Cleared it. So now I'm going to tell you what the prayer was. The fellow who was one of the hosts at this gathering said he'd been in India. And something was going on. And this prayer came to him. And it refers to sanskaras, and I would never imagine myself praying with the word sanskaras in it. But I got that what I was describing, one of these things that comes up and you can do nothing about it because it's like got a life and a being of its own, and nobody understands it. You don't understand what you're going through. That's the sanskaric lump there. And the prayer that came to him was, dear Baba, or Baba, please remove these sanskaras from my mind, remove these sanskaras from my mind and transform them in your universal love. Remove these sanskaras from my mind and transform them in your universal love. And I improvised with Zeke that after I've done it on myself a lot, if we've got something going on, mutual, and then I'll say, and Baba, remove those sanskaras from Zeke's mind and transform them with your universal love. And it has been almost miraculous. It's happening enough that I'm not nervous about sharing it. It's an extraordinarily potent prayer because you're admitting right from the start we don't even know what we're praying about, but that's it. And please take it from my mind, transform it in your universal love. And that's yeah, and the love has flowed in each case. The love that was blocked resumed flowing, and so I somehow got that out. I
Yeah.
hope it wasn't too long, but that's
Yeah.
a complicated story for a simple.
Very, very apt, really, right? I know, like Maria Montessori was the first female doctor in Italy, and the male doc, was harassed. No, and she saw this image of a ladder and all these dogs kind of biting at her ankles, and she could kick back, or she could just climb up a little higher in the ladder, meaning going up to the universal level of love, and leave the barking behind. Yeah.
Jeff, I left one little piece out, but it's
Yeah.
actually important. Is that I had asked Bob, especially when I got that accept no homage, and I got that if I'm going to be free to perform and to give what Bob has given me, I cannot let my ego try to own it. And what I realized, one of the things that came to me was the reason that thing came up between me and Zeke at that moment was to chill out my ego, which was getting all of this praise from so many people.
Yeah.
So it was Baba's love. Even that was Baba's love. Yeah.
Peter asked Tony if you could put it in the prayer in the chat, but
Yes.
Virginia she said, I think it was, Dear Baba, please remove these sanskaras from my mind and transform them into your universal love.
Transform them in your universal love.
Into your universal
Not
love.
not into. Transform them in your universal love, with your universal love, through your, more like that.
Yeah.
Transform them in your universal love. Let your universal love transform them. Yeah.
Either way is a pretty
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
pretty good formula. Okay. Anyone else want to venture out? Bring their. I mean, it can be very helpful if it can go up to that other level. Oh, good. We got a few folks there.
Okay, Ron.
All right, I'll give it a shot here. One thing that we are probably urged to do in order to get closer to Baba is to have patience. And this has to do with that, I think. Maybe other things, but going back to the first Sahabas that I attended in Southern California at the Pilgrim Pines Retreat Center, there was like 300 people there, I think. Adi was there, and I don't know, I can't remember if Kitty was there too, but it was huge. And this was the first time we had it at this location. And I was approached on the last night of the Sahabas, which is when they would always have a dooney, except this was, I don't know if they had, at the previous two Sahabas programs, they had a dooney. I'm not really sure. I wasn't there. But they had one this night. I was approached, I won't say by who, but it was an organizer, to ask if I would sing something, sing a song during this dooney. And I said that I would. So I picked the song that I had. It happened to be the words from, oh my God, did I ever forget his name? A famous Indian poet.
Tagore?
Tagore, there you go.
Yeah.
Who said? Anyhow, yeah, Tagore. And so I sang this song, and after we came back to the center, it was either that same night or the next day, I was approached by the person that had asked me to sing and criticized for the choice that I had made of the song. And I thought, oh my goodness, what can I do? It probably wasn't necessarily the first time somebody had criticized me for selecting a song that didn't appeal to their sensibilities, but nevertheless, that happened. Now, it goes back so far that I can hardly remember if that how long that may have bothered me. Maybe not that long. But the interesting thing is, I mean, I don't know if I told anybody else, but I started telling people about it because of what happened. I think it was maybe 3 or 4 years later at another one of these LA Sahabases. They showed a film that had been created at that particular Sahabas in which I had sung that song during the Dooney. So they had hired a professional filmmaker to do like a documentary of that weekend. And so everyone was watching this film along with me, and it got to the end where there was this climactic ending coming up, and it ended with me singing that song. That was the climactic ending of the whole thing. I was so startled by that because I hadn't seen it. No one told me about it. I was watching it unfold in this way, but it made me think, and it has happened many times where I've been criticized for a choice that I've made or something that I said or done, and later I find out that somebody else really thought that was a a wonderful thing, and it really made their day or something like that. So, uh, you know, take everything with a grain of salt and be patient. We don't know the whole story, but sometimes some of the story comes out later.
Yeah, wonderful. Now, how did your relationship with that person uh, fare over
Well,
time?
oh, it was fine. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm a pretty forgiving person. I must say I've been blessed in that way. I can forgive pretty fast and thoroughly. I guess it's just forget about it
yeah,
and and act friendly toward the person.
yeah.
So I didn't hold it against them. That was just their choice.
Do we have time? Could we hear that song? Or
Well, yeah, we'll have it at the. Let's have it at the end.
No, I don't even play that song anymore.
okay.
I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't
Yeah,
be able to sing that song.
but think of one of the Josephine Ross songs toward at the end if it comes to
Okay,
you.
all
Hey,
right.
so let's go to Ronnie. She got they turned the electricity back on.
Yeah, I found a lamp. Um, yeah, well, I really appreciated what Tony just said, and the connecting it to um like sanskaras, because I find that it's such a difficult thing to move through. I'm somebody who's kind of prone to emotional shutdown. If I feel criticized, um, or in on the other hand, maybe feel like entitled and then maybe get more angry and then feel very, very stubborn and kind of righteous in my point of view. And yeah, I find it takes me a long time. It takes me I have to kind of like remove myself from a situation, calm down, and then maybe I can see that. But something that has helped me is in those moments is to just try to take Barbara's name, because especially if I'm in an emotional shutdown, it's really difficult for the person that you're with who wants to like continue to resolve a conflict, or um if you kind of like aren't communicating, that can be really get somebody else be like, well, wait, can't you like share with me what's going on? And like sometimes it really is difficult for me to do that. Like I just kind of like shut down and don't say much at all. Um but yeah, saying Barbara's name definitely helps, and to just try to step into a place of like empathy and come out of myself, of like what might this other person be feeling right now, because I can tell myself like, well, I feel angry and I feel judged, or I feel this or I feel that, but in terms of like resolving anything, from me just being in that point of view of how I feel, never really like it does not have the effect of like resolving, or getting on the same page as the other person. So when I can think about, yeah, okay, so maybe they feel frustrated, or maybe they feel hurt by this, or maybe they felt confused, or maybe there was a misunderstanding. That really helps me to move through it, but it's definitely challenging and something that I'm learning. But I really love what you just said, Tony, about it being linked to scars, because it does feel so like heavy and really difficult to move through. So to have, I mean, that prayer is really wonderful, and I'm definitely gonna use it. But yes, in the moment, I'll sometimes be saying like, Papa, like, what is going on? Like, why can't I just be open hearted? Like, I'm a very open hearted person in general. So why and it's always in my like closest relationships. So with family or husband, or people that I really love, that comes up. So yeah, it's very challenging, and I love this topic, and yeah, I'm excited to think of new ways to get through it and keep the love
Yeah.
flowing.
Beautifully said, Ronnie, really. You spoke beautifully and so clearly what we're so many of us are dealing with in this life with Baba, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we raised our hand, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
call him. Um, a month ago, tomorrow, I was innocently walking across the street on my way to a doctor's office, totally not multitasking, just coming up with a game plan of where to walk. And the next thing I knew it, I was horizontal to the ground, and I had hit my hip, my shoulder, and I was conscious when my head hit. And blessed be, Baba sent somebody to my rescue right away, and he walked me across the street to the fire station, who they triaged me, and then I walked a block and a half to ER. So that kind of concept of Baba gives us challenges, but he's always not leaving us alone. He's there walking hand in hand with us. But I walked away from this situation, besides the 6 stitches and incredibly purple body, that I needed to face something that I was not facing. And Baba was literally, this has happened to me before, putting my face right into it. And we were going to, on our vacation, that was on Monday, 4.5 days later, we were flying to Mexico. And I had 2 people in my life whose I had that emotional shutdown. I was the one who had the emotional shutdown because of how they had behaved towards me. And my wife here always tries to take the emotional sandpaper of life and try and smooth out my hard edges. Said, not everybody does it your way. They don't think your way. They don't think of calling you when X happens, or writing back, or acknowledging anything. And we were in Mexico for a day. And one of the people I had this animosity towards had just recently moved to Mexico. And it all started when Terry said, "Are you going to call Juan?" And I thought, no, why would I call him? He, all these things. And then I woke up that Sunday morning, and the animosity had lifted. Now, mind you, with Juan and this other person, I prayed to Baba very consistently asking him to help me let go. And so this conversation is very, very important to me, how people flow through, because what ended up happening was when the animosity lifted, my heart was huge. It was so open, it was ridiculous. I could hardly touch the ground. And there was not a honeymoon to it. It lasted. And these people didn't know that my heart had shut down. They didn't know how much love I had been withholding. Only I knew that. I was the only one suffering here. And I can't thank Baba enough for putting my face right into it.
Yeah, beautiful. Let me just ask you, how did you happen to fall down?
You know, it's very confusing. I don't know. I even went back and took a
Oh,
picture of the street. There was these
yeah,
little metal things in thing. They were flush, but
yeah,
maybe my shoe caught on it,
yeah,
and
yeah. It was the high heels, I'm sure, right? No.
I
you
think,
you've met me, so you know that's so me. Did you want
Yeah,
well, I think that I just want to share that part of Baba's gift to me was helping me not hold on to that stuff, whatever it is, however it comes at you, and to realize that, people can only rise to the occasion, when they're ready. It has nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything to anybody. And of course, if I did, to own it and, deal with it. But on the most part, I don't know. It's like I don't have it anymore. It's the strangest thing. That kind of, I'll get frustrated or something, but I can still love and want to punch your head in at the same time.
yeah, beautiful.
That's
That's it.
what I'm
I guess
saying.
that's the walking and chewing gum and
Yeah,
walking.
I think that's it.
yeah, beautiful.
Okay, Virginia.
I was thinking about how intimate relationships, like relationships with a spouse or with a dear friend or with our children, they're such a gift from Baba, both because of like the loving, closeness that we can feel, but also because of the friction. And I think about his hand signal for marriage of like two fists grinding together, and how being in close relationship with someone that you love, it it really causes, like, I feel like sanskaras to just like rush to the surface. And if we're lucky and if we remember to let Baba, he can take that and use it as a way to shed us and relieve us of those sanskaras. But it's also so easy to get swept up into them. And so it's something that I've been trying to practice in my marriage lately, sometimes more or less effectively, is when the function of emotion starts to rise up in me, trying to be conscious of it. And if it starts to rise to the point where I'm not able to be conscious of love anymore, try to catch it before that and step away so that I can focus. I may not be able to remember to love my spouse in that moment, but I can remember to love myself and Baba. And then I can like recenter myself and remember that I love my spouse too. And I'm just so grateful to Baba for these practices that he puts us through in these daily lives that he has us in. And Diane and Terry, I wanted to share something real quick. I think a couple weeks ago in a talk that we all were at, you guys talked about how you deal with telemarketers. Was that you guys? And I did that this last week. I'll share with everyone. It was the best ever. So they shared that when a telemarketer calls, they pick up and the telemarketer starts the spiel and they say, I may get this wrong, but do you know who Meher Baba is? Or I want to talk about Meher Baba. And I did that this last week. And the guy was like, so yeah, actually, ma'am, I'm trying to raise money for it. And I was like, oh, that's wonderful. And I really want to talk about Meher Baba today. And he said, have a blessed day, ma'am. I said, thank you. It felt so good. It turned that interaction into something really positive.
Yeah, like
Ah,
so.
Suvel.
Oh
Nice.
yeah, Suvel
Well,
recently came to the center for the first time. We had a great time. It was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's close with Shri, who's somewhere in this layout here in this gallery. Go ahead.
Yeah, hi everyone. Nice to meet you all. I'm Suval. Came to the center a few weeks ago and had an amazing time. I just wanted to share a quote that I have found. Honestly, I read it a few years ago, but it's always kind of stuck with me. It's a Baba quote, and I think it kind of deals with all what we're talking about here. So let me just read it out here. He says, the scope of service is not limited to gestures like giving big donations to public institutions. They also serve who express their love in little things. A word that gives courage to a drooping heart, or a smile that brings hope and cheer in the midst of gloom, has as much claim as onerous sacrifices and heroic self-denials. A glance that wipes out bitterness from the heart and sets it throbbing with a new love is also service, although there may be no thought of service in it. When taken by themselves, all these things seem to be small, but life is made of many such small things. If all these small things were ignored, life would not only be unbeautiful, but unspiritual. And I think that that one part, especially a glance that wipes out bitterness from the heart and sets it throbbing with the new love, is maybe most applicable to what we're talking about here. But yeah, I think it's just such a beautiful expression of how even in like the little day-to-day interactions we can do as much as we think is like a big charitable donation or something. And yeah, just wanted to share that quote.
Yeah. Thank you, Suval. Yeah. And I
Well,
hope you're planning your next trip to the center, start that piggy bank, filling it up.
Will do.
all right, we've got from the great state of California, the northern version, Alan
Yeah.
Minucci.
Wild man Allen.
Hi, everybody.
You look like a musk.
Oh yeah, I just came from a martial arts class, so I'm a little bit beat up, but I'm okay. Uh, I I think on this topic a lot, and it's something that I think of the story of when Erich, and I could be telling it wrong, but forgive me, but it's when Erich was on a pondo with Baba, but it was low enough to the ground, so that there was an audience that was close to Baba's feet, and everybody was seated, and then all of a sudden this couple came in, and they came in really late and really loud, and Erich was just standing there, and he's telling the story, and he's seeing them come through the door, and they're backing up, and the gentleman, he's kind of brushing people and sort of maneuvering through the crowd so that he can get to Baba, and he's going backwards, and he's leading his wife towards the front, and he's being rude. Everybody's dead silent. He's just elbowing. He's just shoving his way through. And finally, he gets to the front, and Erich sees that he's not even paying attention, and he's about to back his butt into Baba's face. He's about to physically hit Baba because he's not paying attention. He's just so caught, and Erich, instantly just takes the man and throws him into the audience, and he lands in the lap of a woman, and somebody else's wife, and he's super embarrassed. I guess culturally that's just really embarrassing, and he stands up and he starts cussing Erich out, and he's cussing him out, and Erich is about to blast him. The second that Erich is about to throw down, Baba claps, and instantly he says, Erich, apologize to him, and actually go down and bow down to his feet, tell him, be kind to this gentleman. How dare you do that? He started chiding Erich. And I think about that story, and a few times it saved my own life in the sense of I'm in property management, and I deal with a lot of interesting characters. And I'm an interesting character, but there's some real. Baba's got a great imagination, and I really am working to, and it's over 4 years, 5 years now, and seen it all. And there's this one particular gentleman at a commercial property, and he loves to basically he wears a badge, like a police looking shirt, and a badge, and it has his name in the middle of it. And it's like, he's like a sergeant in his own world. So he basically you know where I'm going with this. So he calls out anything and everything, and he emails the owner, and he emails the real estate company, the property management company. And now the owner is like, anytime he emails the owner, I'm getting my butt kicked. Every time he emails the owner, it's just, they're like, what's wrong with my building? Why is this happening? And I have to write an email paragraph, say I'm so sorry, kiss some butt. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on. And I go to the guy and I'm telling him, hey, let's just call him, I don't know, Timmy. I'm like, hey, Timmy, can you just email me? We'll be okay. You can email me. I'm the property manager here. I will take care of your needs no matter what. I don't know what's going on here. And he responds every time with, how do I know? How do I know you're going to help me? I don't trust that anyone's going to help me. And I'm like, all right, well, I've helped you every time before, and I'm going to help you again and again and again. I promise you that. And so we went through a situation where this fire alarm was going off in the building, and happened to do the little control valve switch. Little problem, not a big deal. He emailed the owner about 10 to 15 times throughout a 24-hour period. And now my managers, my supervisors, looking at me like, hey, what's wrong with you, guy? Why is this tenant doing this? Are you doing your job? And I'm like, oh my God, Timmy, you're killing me, Timmy. And this is after phone calls and emails with him, in-person meetings with him. And finally, after so many times, this is even after having conversations in person where he's like, okay, no, I'll email you directly. And then he does it again. And finally, I was just so fed up, and I was determined. I was like, you know what? You wanna mess with me, pal? I'm gonna freaking give you a piece of my mind. Yeah, I love this job. No, I don't. I'm good at this job, but I'm gonna meet you, and we're gonna do this. And so I drive myself, 30 minutes down to go see this guy in a really, my car could basically get stolen. It's not a great neighborhood, and I parked in the yellow, and I'm just like, I walked right in, and I tell you, I was ready to just go to war. And the second that I walked in, I I I wanted to just pull out my sword. I don't have a physical sword, but the internal sword. I wanted to lash out at him, and I just looked up at him, and I kind of caught his eye, and I just saw. I don't know what I saw. I just saw this. It was just this guy that he's just like me. There's just, what's the difference? I was just like, you just like me, man. I see you, I see me, and you. I just saw it in that moment. And yet I was so angry that I was like, I don't care. Even that moment, I was like, I don't care, Baba. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care about the humanity. I don't care. I'm gonna say it. And the words that came out was, how you doing? How you doing, Tim? How you doing, man? How's it going? And, and it was the most kind I've ever spoken to somebody that I had such rage for. And I tell you, I don't know what did it. I thought of, because of thinking of arguing with Baba, where I was like, I don't care what you think, Baba. And then just saying his name, it changed the words that came out of my mouth. And finally, I just looked at him and I was like, I hear you, man. And just tell me, what is it that you need? What is it that you really need right now? What do you need for all this to end? What do you need? And I just dropped it in, and he said, I I just want a key, just want another key copy, and that's all I need. You just need a key. You just need a key copy. Yeah, yeah. I just want to feel like I have access to all parts of the building, and if I could have that, if I could have some semblance of control in that way, I'll leave you alone. And I was like, you know what, Tim? I have got a copy of that key somehow on me right now. Here you go, pal. And I just handed it to him, and we shook hands. And I tell you, I felt a love for him that I didn't think I would have in a million years. I was like, you son of, and just turned into, you're just this closeness. And it reminded me of so many other times of when I've been in that battle cry, I'm going to go to war with somebody. And then I realized, wait a minute, man, we're just in this together. We're in, I don't need to spread more pain and do more damage to somebody that can't see out of his story, and it's okay. So I don't know, Baba saved me on that one, but that's an example of, like, I don't know how that happened, but it was definitely Baba's grace. So Jai Baba.
Yeah, fantastic, Alan. Great example. The victory is his.
Wonderful. So we've got from the great state of New York, we've got Marion.
Hi, thank you, everyone. I missed a lot of your message, Alan, as my Zoom went off. I went off. This has never happened to me before. Of course, this is recorded, so I can now go back. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I was kind of prepared to share, even with a few notes, so I would be very succinct and clear. And now I feel all shaken and like I did something wrong. Something's wrong with me. And I thought, oh, there's one of my beliefs. Something's wrong with me. Not my computer. Zoom disappeared. So with that spirit, I'll try to stay focused, because I thought, oh, this is maddening, because I have for decades, because I'm now very much in my latter years, have done all kinds of self-awareness work, because that was part of my business. So I had to do the work myself, do core energetic training to clear the emotion body, all that stuff. So that brings me to now. I can process very quickly if I've been having a reaction to somebody or I'm feeling negative. I can process it, very quickly to, I always told Bob, or looks at Bob's picture and say, I'm going to release the feelings I have, like the negative feelings that so-and-so triggers in me. I never say causes in me, but triggers in me, so that I may release what I've been holding within me and be filled with your light, love, and life. So I have all of my processes, but that brings me to where I am now, because I can process it quickly, is that I know if I'm having a reaction to somebody, I'm giving my power over to them and taking on what I think is their view of me, which is never accurate. And so now what I do is I separate out my human self from my divine self. And my divine self talks with my human self and is empathic toward her, but never gives her the power, and says, oh, I see, you're feeling upset, or I see that you're having a hard time. And is there anything, maybe we can sit down and meditate. And usually that part of me, who I call mean, nasty Marion, says, no, I don't want to sit down and meditate. I don't care about doing any of that stuff. I just want to, just hate so-and-so. And I say, okay, I see that you're upset. So I'll have a dialogue. And it usually comes down to my empathy will help that human being in me sort of calm down. And I'll say, well, is there something we could do together that would, you would like to do? Like maybe we could go to the park and sit in the park. Oh, okay. There's some way that part of me, that mean, nasty Marion, will kind of give over to something when I'm approached with empathy. And so then what comes from a result of that play acting back and forth is that a real need of mine will be revealed. Like she might say to me, well, I really want to go to the park and pick up some pine cones or something. And so I say, okay, we'll make room for that today. Then what usually comes to me, I've been so focused on getting things done and doing my to-do list, even though I meditate every day, that I needed a break and go to the park and pick up pine cones. And so that mean, nasty Marion became a channel for me to connect with the real need that I've been ignoring in myself. So that's my latest, because I'm trained in psychodrama. I'm trained in how to do the role playing. So that's what's working for me now, is that after years of much processing, and I really have empathy toward my human flawed self, and that is helping that self get more connected to my divine self for transformation. So thank you. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I've found in my own life that self-compassion and empathy and self-acceptance have become the latter part of my life more central than self-improvement.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Richardo,
Grand Junction.
Yes, it's still here. It hasn't flowed to the California Ocean yet. But I just wanted to say I've been listening to a lot of this, and this is really hard, I think, to pin down. I mean, Jeff has spent so much time and devotion on this, but I only in my later years here, when my age is really slowing all of my mental facilities down as well, have I been more aware of what this is about. And I'll tell one story and finish that off. But so I was walking my dog. This is about 6, 8 months ago, and we were at a little park, and there was a guy, an older guy, a little bit of a curmudgeon, but probably my age, on his bicycle, and we happened to be crossing the path right where he was going to enter the sidewalk through a curb, and so as we began to cross, Audie, my dog, noticed the bike lunging forward, sort of, moving forward. And I know Audie, and so in order to protect me, he just turned around, turned his head, and barked. And this guy lit into me like I had threatened him with a 45 caliber pistol. And it's like, it caught me off guard. And I told this guy, I said, you don't really mean any of that stuff. You really don't mean it. And he just kept carrying on. And so I kind of got into an argument with him, which I really regretted later. But it wasn't until he said, well, I'm going to kill your dog. I'm going to kill your dog. And that I just couldn't deal with it. So I started arguing with him. But later I thought, oh my God, Baba, what did I do? Oh my God. What did I do? It's like, I blew it. This guy didn't need any more of me, reflecting that back to him. But anyway, so moving on, I think this is really, really difficult. But for me, what I am beginning to discover, or I think I kind of discovered, is it's not me transforming myself. It's knowing that the avatar practically begs us to allow him to become us. So it's Avatar Marta, or it's Avatar Diane, or it's Avatar Marion, and that's holding on to his Dema, I think. And it's not always easy, of course, but the more I give that some time, the more it seems that, oh, that's what this transformation is about. I'm trying to figure out or learn to live that it's living, it's living with Baba in the world as you go through it. And that's what you keep talking about that, Jeff. But it isn't always easy. But for some reason, I don't know if it's my age or what, but I'm experiencing that more and more. And I'm really grateful, because I used to, hash it out and trash it out with people, more routinely. And in my own karmic, sanskaric, way. And of course, that always fails. Thank you.
Yeah, beautiful. Good example. Any other takers? But it's this is something that we all face, is how to respond from a higher levels and not just the lower level, with Baba's help. Marta, you got anything?
I knew you were going to say that. Well, I have something to say. First of all, I've been wanting to say this to Rich for a long time. Rich, when you told your story a long time ago, and you were really coming down on yourself, quite a bit. And I just want to tell you that I think you're such a loving person. I think you've come a long way from that story that you told. And I just want to bring it to your attention that I don't know who that person was, but I don't see you as that person. see you as loving and sensitive and sharing and connecting. And so I just wanted to tell you that I've been wanting to tell you that for quite a while. And your dog's story was absolutely precious that you told that time. It was so touching.
Yeah.
So thank you, Rich. Really appreciate that. So I've had a very, this was very timely, and I had a very internally explosive situation happen here in my sanctuary on this property. And I won't go into details because it's just too personal, but there's two things that I utilized, Baba helped me utilize very quickly, and it's because of my years of being here, listening to Jeff talk and all of you. It really is. There's two things. One thing I remembered, many years ago, I listened to a videotape of Larry Kleiner interviewing Erich. And at the end of the tape, Erich tells a story about Baba reprimanding them because they were all, battling against each other and personalities, and there was no harmony. And Baba says, I am God and the creator of everything. I can destroy, I can create, I can give, I can take. But the one thing that I won't be able to do is give you harmony. He says, give me harmony between you. And so when this conflict came up, I've always remembered that. When this conflict came up, after about a week of going to my corner in silence, I remembered all of a sudden that story. And I thought, Baba says to give him harmony because he can't give it to us. I said, so Marta, why don't you do that? Because that's what Baba wants. And you said you gave your life to Baba. And so I put this person's name, I wrote it on a piece of paper and put it under Baba's feet. And I said, Baba, you take care of it. I know there's no accidents. You'll resolve it. So then the next day I decided, what's the most irresistible thing in the world? Love. So I thought, okay, whether I feel love or I don't feel love, it doesn't matter. Baba says have harmony and Baba will give love. So I decided to just be as loving as I could, even though I did not feel it, because I knew that Baba eventually would take care of it. So I want to share those two things because for me, they were very powerful and they worked.
In other words, you kind of externally expressed love. I mean, as you might externally, and then Baba eventually provided the inner spirit.
Right.
Yes.
A very good translation. Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Fake it until you make it.
Exactly. Exactly. Baba will take it and make it, right?
Yeah. Beautiful. Anyone else have? But Ronnie, while I'm thinking of it, get that ukulele or whatever you got with one of those Josephine Ross songs, but not necessarily right now. See if there's anyone else that wants to come forward and share. Patty Curtis is usually very good, but you can pass too. I'm just, but these are
Yeah,
people that.
Don't you dare pass.
I know. Jay Baba, everyone. I feel like I've been absent a lot, but life has just been a bit challenging in lots of ways. And I want to tell you these last few times that I've listened to the late night chats because I couldn't make it. It was very touching to me, the depth of the conversations that people were expressing. And I think this is a very extraordinarily deep topic for me to bring forward in my life with Baba. And what I'm clear about is I do not have the capacity he is the doer in me right now. And
and I am not in control, which has been horrifying for me. I mean, it has just been one thing after another. And I present real well out in the world, but it's the undercurrent has been rough. It's been really rough. And I don't know that I've ever really felt truly in my physical form from the mental aspect of the Curtis Patty personality, what the love current really is, except when I'm in it, I can recognize it, but I don't necessarily know how to. It's not like I can approach it, it comes up in me, and then I can adjust the moment when I can recognize it from the heart space. But for me to say conscious from my mental place to move into it, to once again thinking I'm controlling it, it's there's a conundrum for me in that. So what I have continually done day after day after day, moment after moment, is my life is yours. Just play me, just do it, because I've fallen short in lots of places, and when the physical form becomes very challenging, and there's a lot of ups and downs, and things are moving too fast for me to kind of grasp things, then I get frightened and I get scared, and all this stuff happens, and I retreat, which means I block myself, so that's, and I've kind of retreated from all you guys, and I didn't mean to, but I could not take on much more. I couldn't expose too much more. It's hard to be so transparent all the time. And to Baba, I am that wholeheartedly. But then my ego steps up and is a little embarrassed a lot for self-judgments, and feeling like I don't please my beloved in the way that, I had hoped. But I don't know where I'm going with any of this, but
Yeah, but you're speaking beautifully, really.
Lord, I will say one very, very sweet thing that happened. I'm trying to live a normal life right now, and it doesn't always happen that way. So the life of Patty has been very active and, athletic and outdoorsy and yada, 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 yada. So all those things are being taken away kind of quietly. And of course, I come kicking and screaming about it. But we did get up to a river, the Metolius River up in Oregon. And we brought our camper, and our dog had just gone through an emergency situation. And so there was a lot of things being shuffled and moved around. But we agreed that I could do it and my dog could do it. And the vet was saying, okay, special diet for the dog, don't let him off the leash, all this stuff. But we get up there, and by Baba's grace, it was, we were planning to stay 5 nights, and we stayed 4 nights. And the reason for that is I wasn't doing real well. My dog wasn't quite coming along really well. And I'd made an agreement with my husband that if we weren't doing very well, we could come home. And so this happened. But in the meantime, a friend came. And the backstory to this is I've been really wanting to get a new car. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. And there's no way I can go buy a car. I mean, it's just not a possibility in my life. In the concept of, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I mean, it's just never going to happen like that. So, and Baba knew that. So he brings a friend of ours to visit my husband fishing on the river with his wife. We talk, she's having a great deal of dementia. And these are old friends of ours. And we lamented a little bit about our histories. And she said, oh, by the way, do you know anybody who wants to buy a car? And I said, what kind of a car? So the story ensues. She said, well, I've got to have to sell my car because I can't drive it anymore. I said, okay. And it turned out to be a 2012. I have a 2007 car, so it was only a 5-year upgrade, and it turned out to be a beautiful car. It only had 28,000 miles on it, and it was a 2012, and it was in pristine. That she hadn't driven it for years because she couldn't. And long story short is Baba brought me a car to the country, up in a campground, so I could drive it. And he said, "Oh, just drive it down the mountain and just send me a check," and it was so perfectly Baba that, I mean, that's how it is with me and him right now. And that love it was helping her, it was helping me. And then I sold my car 2 days later. So within 5 days, I had new license. I mean, it was just ridiculous. He just orchestrated the whole thing. And I was very grateful because, I'm having treatments. I'm at doctors. I'm all over the place. None of that is a reality for me to think about any of that. And so he provided a very, very sweet car, 2012 Benza Limited, blah, blah, no, leather, all that, but still a 6 CD player. So I can have all my Baba tapes in it. All the new ones don't have any of that. And I'm so thrilled because, Jamie Newell, all of them are in there. Everybody's there. Jeff, you're in there. I play you and Nan every day in my life. This is just what I do to keep me connected. And so the love, the heart is there. I mean, my heart is his heart. And if he can just keep working through me, it will be great. And he keeps gifting me all the time. So, and I have my story ready to present, but I just haven't been able to pull it off together to do that yet, you guys. So I will when it seems to work on a night that I can do it. So bless all your hearts and thank you for listening and keep the love flowing. I mean, it's his love and he sustains us all so beautifully.
Thank you. Beautiful. Lovely, lovely. Wow.
Yeah. So we have Ruthie.
Oh, good, Ruthie.
Oh, no, Patty, good you. Because you spoke, it brought my heart up to share as well. So beautifully done. I thank you, honey. I love you so much, Jay Papa. I'm also going through the physical pieces that Papa's, dropping pieces off here and there from the body, and I'm trying to make my way through it. And it's hard. And yes, I go through different emotions of anger and fear. And then there's that every now and then the master drops the veil moment. Yes. Well, here was mine. I had a dream and I was in India and I was cleaning for the women. It wasn't like the tomb. I wasn't cleaning the tomb necessarily, but I was like cleaning Mani's things and Mara's things and Mabru. And I don't know, I had a scarf around my head. And there was one last thing to clean, and it was around a corner. And it was this little bookcase. And so I moved it out. And then there was someone up the road a space. And it was a man who was working in fire. And he was so much in the work, in the fire, that he was fire. And he turned and he looked at me. And I said, well, I only have one last thing to clean. And it's this little bookcase. And they told me it belongs to Sadhu, whoever she is. And he says, oh, no, dear. That's Mayor Baba's bookcase. That sits right next to his chair. And just like that in the dream, I could feel Baba wash over me and just say, see, here I am. Do you know how much I love you? See how much I love you. It just waved right into me, the love. And I woke up, and then I woke up to this, but it was that wonderful awakening to love and Baba's love for us. So yeah, I can see you sporting down the hill in that car playing your Baba tapes. You got your Baba ride. So cool. Thanks.
Beautiful. Thank you, Ruthie. And hey, so let's have Ronnie. You got a song there, and then we'll have maybe a quote if someone has one, in a moment of silence. We can't hear you, Ronnie. You're on mute.
Thank you. Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah.
But so from the album that I did called "Songs of a Modern Disciple," I'll sing one of the songs that maybe seems to be on the theme more than some of the other songs might be. Uh, but I have to say that I'm going to have to sing the orchestrated part because I don't have anybody to play along with me here. It's just me. But I don't know how to sing it without that part, so you'll have to bear with me as I play the part of a flute and a violin. If you want to hear the flute and violin, you can listen to this song either on YouTube or on SoundCloud. Just track it down with Ron Greenstein. It is called Birds Will Sing. So this is Birds
So
Will
this
Sing.
is this is Josephine Ross. She just came and met Bob there at Harmon on Hudson. She was just, I think, 19 years old, never written poetry before, and this all just being around Bob, all this poetry came flowing out of her.
Da da da, la da da, la da, la da da, la da da, la da. While man disputes, sweet nature rules the day and scatters songs and flowers along the way, and still the roses bloom, the winds shall blow, mountains silent stand beneath their snow, and still the sun will shine, God's life to bring, and still at dawn and evening birds will sing. What matter, Democrat, Republican, cuckoo, 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 any other group dividing man, cuckoo, beneath our hedge the violets grow in May, and still shall grow when we have passed away, and still the sun will shine, God's life to bring, and still at dawn and evening birds will sing. La da da, la da da, la da, la da da, la da da, la da. Still the sun will shine, God's life to bring, and still at dawn and evening birds will sing. Still the sun will shine, God's light to bring,
beautiful, Ronnie. Does anyone have a quote to share?
I have a quote, Jeff.
Oh, good. And then we'll have a few moments of silence. Yeah.
Your job is to remember me. Everything else is my job. Remember me so often that your mind is at a loss to find other thoughts to feed on. Mayor Baba.
Hey, Baba.
Mayor Baba.
Thank you all for
Mm.
sharing yourselves. You know, what did Erich was asked. I mean, you probably heard this. Was asked, is Baba going to become a religion? And this is in 1970. He said, Bob was adamant that it not become a religion. Well, how can that be avoided? And he said, if his lovers would get together in small groups and share their mystical experiences, meaning their inner experiences, it could be averted. So, how can you make a religion out of with such a motley crew?
Broke down furniture, huh? Hey, Ron, I really like the Ron Greenstein Unplugged.
Unplugged meaning?
Meaning, I liked what you did with that
Yes.
song without any instrumentation in the background. Your own little dee-da-do-do-das were.
I'm glad you did.
Mhm.
The instrumentalists were pretty darn good on the recording.
I don't care.
Absolutely.
I'm a purist.
Jeff, can I ask a question, Jeff?
Yeah, yeah.
The person that has home under his picture, is that the husband of the wife of the two people that live in another country?
I'm Johannes.
Yeah.
Yes, is that them?
We installed
Oh,
it
that is.
yesterday, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, and I didn't recognize you without your wife sitting next to you on the couch.
It's not, yeah. She has a meeting this morning, very early,
Uh-huh.
because we have
Good to see you.
now
Good to see you.
5
Thank
o'clock or
you.
5:30, and she will, yeah.
And your name is no, what
Johannes.
is your name?
Johannes.
Oh, Johannes. Okay,
Yeah.
Johannes.
Johannes,
Thank
yeah.
you.
They call me
Good to
Your
see you.
Highness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Your Highness. But
Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Sabine,
Highness.
Sabine emailed me, was concerned about whether Johannes would be able to unmute or mute himself, but he did beautifully there.
Did great.
We'll give you a good report.
Thank you, thank you.
We have Sharon has raised her hand.
Yeah.
I thank you, Jay Baba. I wanted to thank Ron if he's still there. I felt so relieved to hear that song because I've been researching where I grew up, which was in Croton on Hudson in the 60s. And it was a little trying, and I made it through some searches to fact check my high school days there and the intrigues of the history, including Baba being there. So I'm grateful. Thank you, Baba, for that song, and thank you, Ron, Jay Baba.
Yeah. There was a woman that came to the center last year who was very surprised to find that Baba had, had been in Harmon on Hudson there, or Croton on Hudson, and she used to babysit a family that was in that stone house that Baba stayed, and she was like, "Oh my God!" And she only lived just down that same little cul-de-sac, I guess. How amazing! I hope one day the New York people purchase that so that it can be a place to, from New York, to go up and be and have a kind of retreat there. It would be a great purchase, and be there where Baba had been. So everybody, any last minute, any pocket change here? Anything from your pockets, like bobby pins and clothespins, things like that?
I took a,
Oh my God, there's like $100 there. It just depends on if anybody wants it. So I use it takers, so I just shut my mouth.
Yeah. Yeah,
took a
we'll,
bottle cap off of a tea I bought in a store, and I had the inclination to actually look and see if there was something written on it, and there was. It was this quote. I forgot who was responsible for this quote, but it said, "Happiness is the absence of striving for happiness."
wow, that's
Wow.
good. Hey, just while I'm thinking of it, I mean, I don't want to keep you guys up, but Bob, what can you do that pulling a thread? Have you got that kind of handy or?
Oh yeah, that's great.
This,
I'll see if I can. I've got the book here. I'm not sure I
yeah,
can find a poll. Let me see.
Well, I got
this
one
is,
while he's looking.
yeah,
How about this one? No me, no mine, no problem.
uh-huh. Oh, that reminds me of no me, no mine, no problem. That's putting it very succinctly. There's a quote from Ibn Arabi, one of the greatest of the Sufi perfect masters, where he says, at the level of the world, there is yours and mine. At the beginning of the path, yours is mine and mine is yours. On the path itself, there is no mine and there is no yours. At the end of the path, there is no me and no you.
Mm. Oh, that's good.
Any luck there, Bob?
Yeah, I found it, Jeff. Okay.
This is profound. This is profound. It has to do with self-effacement. And this is if you want to, you should have your notepad. Make sure you write down the instructions.
Pulling at a thread. I noticed the thread on the button of the shirt and pulled. And when the button fell off, there was a moment's irritation until the thought occurred to me, the possibility that this unraveling could simply continue up the sleeve, across the shoulders, down the torso and the other arm all at once, and then by some odd attraction unknown to science, progress from the shirt tail to the shorts and trousers and socks, and then, inexplicably jumping like lightning from earth to sky, the mystery would continue from the tips of the toes all the way up the body, till nothing remained to my wife's astonished gaze but a slappy happy Cheshire grin. Then, side to side, that too would go, not fading cat-like, but a clean unwinding. And then another lightning leap to mind, and all the dark and hidden residue floating up like buried stuff from deep swamp muck stirred by wind, coming to light and lining up bit by bit like the loopy threads on a dog food sack. And if you can find just the right place to start, they unzip thread by binding thread quickly and easily, just like that, until nothing is left but you, beloved. J. Bob.
Hey, Baba, it's so
Nice.
great.
Love that. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yep, that's it. That's effacement right there in one poem.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Well,
Bob. Thank you.
anyway, I guess.
Magnifique.
What's that?
Magnificent.
Yeah, magnificent. Okay. Anyway, much love for everyone, and We'll see what we come up with for next week.
Thanks,
Anybody,
Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
any topic that comes to mind, just write. Well, you can always email me too. If you, something that, is relevant and resonates with us. Yeah. All
Has
right.
anybody ever emailed you, Jeff?
Yeah, I get
Oh, good.
suggestions. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Bye,
All
everybody.
right. Much
Yeah,
love.
thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Jeff,
Bye.
Jai Baba.
Bye.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Yeah,
Baba.
Jabba.
Jai Baba.
Yep, Jay
Oh,
Bob. Oh, wait, where's
wait,
Nasreen?
Nasreen, she was here somewhere.
Oh, oh, there she is.
You forgot me. You
Yes.
forgotten me.
No.
You made a big sin.
Yeah. Uh,
You
I'm
forgot
saying the
me.
prayer of repentance right now.
You should. Anyway, I'm saying that Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jai. Jai Baba.
There.
Thank you.
Great
Oh,
meeting.
Jai Baba.
Great meeting, Jeff. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you guys, all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good night, Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Bye,
Jay
Ellen.
Baba. Yeah. Thank you, Diane, for hosting.
My
just-
pleasure. How are you feeling, by the way?
I'm doing pretty good. I mean, my back is still a little bit sore, but it's infinitely better than it was. Yeah.
You stopped all your rocking horse lessons, right?
Yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah. All right. Much love, everybody. Yeah. Jay
Jai
Baba.
Baba.
Jay
Jay
Baba.
Baba Sonober behind Baba and Mara there. Yeah.
Yes.
There she is. Yay.
Yep, there you are.
Yeah, Diane,
Jay Baba.
I have to tell you that I took a fall like that one time walking my dog. I stepped off a curb and I had some winter snow boot kind of things on, and I didn't realize the drop was like a foot, and he was out ahead of me. So I went to take my step and I fell flat on my face. I mean, all I could do was turn my head and hit the ground. That was all I could do. It was just that quick too, just like you. But I didn't get hurt so bad. I felt a little jolt, but but
Hey, Baba.
yeah.
I'm gonna say goodnight, and when I say goodnight, it comes with the power of so I don't want to surprise anybody. So Jay
Jay
Baba,
Baba.
y'all take care.
Oh, we're melting.
Hello.